and welcome back to today's design session. If you were here last month, you saw that we are starting a series where each month I'm going to take you room by room where you practice using the tools that you've been collecting in your tool belt here in the design sessions. Again, in today's design session, I encourage you to download your PDF. I give you everything that I did, everything I know, and give you not only the selections of the things I did in this beach house, but also suggestions for you if you are undergoing a remodel in your home. So today, guess what room we're going to attack? The kitchen! In this series, I'm actually going all the way in deep. I am telling you what I do as a professional designer. Actually, this design session series would be amazing for interior design students or someone who's new in their career in the interior design world, because I'm sharing everything with you. Now, you may not be at a point in your life where you can do a full-on luxury high-end kitchen. It's okay. The principles that I'm going to share with you and teach you and the process that I go through is universal. It works for every budget and it works for every stage in life. This is what they call a galley when you have it long on one side and long on the other and it doesn't connect on either end. You're going to do a remodel in your own home. Sit back, get a cup of coffee, sit on your countertop, kind of like I do, and assess your current situation. Super cramped spaces, not very efficient drawers and cabinets. I mean, they made the most of the space they had, but I knew even in that small space, that galley kitchen, we could make it better. Now in the beach house, it was clearly very dark, very dated. Even the appliances, though they were super cool, very vintage, I mean really old, they were rusting. If there's anything that I want you guys to take away from these design sessions going room by room, is that, especially in a kitchen or in a bathroom, planning, designing, and making all your decisions up front before you bring a contractor in will ensure the success of a project and will keep you in control of your money, your time, your budget, and how this project turns out in the end. I'm going to explain that as we go along. After you've assessed, the next step would be to go window shopping. I call this dream shopping. Not because I want you to spend one dime or buy anything. In fact, please don't. But what you do want to do is you want to see what's out there. Maybe there's some cool appliances or some amazing faucet that you fall in love with that you just have to have, which will help kind of set the pace for the kitchen. Look at flooring. Obviously, appliances and plumbing. Take a look at some light fixtures. I'm telling you, this is just dream shopping just to get the juices flowing and find some inspiration. Love these doors. Wait till you see this. Now that you have some ideas of what's available, the next thing to do is to start designing. As I've shared with you before, I use my 3D modeling program called SketchUp Pro. And again, I do have a class on Udemy. We'll put it in the PDF where you can go if you want to take that class, and it's just a beginner's how to do SketchUp. I personally think it's a game changer. I would highly recommend it for everyone, whether you're a professional designer or not. It really is fun, for one thing, to move things around and see what the possibilities are. If you don't have that, then get yourself a piece of paper, a graph paper. Remember that an inch equals a foot. Measure out your available space, assuming you're not going to change any of your footprint, and get to designing. One of the issues for me was this silly opening here. It was so low, and I just knew that I could open this up bigger and taller. And then another area that I knew that I'd love to be able to change, if I could, was the entrance to the actual kitchen. This opening actually was only 30 inches. I thought it was 36. It was 30 inches across here. So that's a pretty narrow opening. I was able to push back like that and make this into a much wider opening. I think that is going to be such a nice difference for guests to feel like, yeah. I knew that I needed to use my space as wisely as possible. I know this house intimately, and I can tell you every inch counts.
So
and I am trying to do everything I can to avoid losing space. Identify your triangle. You know what a triangle is? It is your kitchen workspace. Every designer, kitchen designer, works off of the triangle. Interesting. Now take a look at your PDF because I have the minimum and maximum requirements for distance apart. And let me show you here on my model where I put, here you go. These are the 3 things that are involved in your work triangle. Where's your refrigerator? Where's your stovetop? And where's your sink? So if this is my sink and I come over here to my cooktop and then I come here to my refrigerator, and here back over to the sink, what does that give me in terms of did I meet within my requirements? So this right here is under 5 feet, this is 6 feet, and this is 8 feet 4 inches. So I am within the requirements. If you take a look at your PDF, essentially what I'm trying to show you in the SketchUp model is not only my process, but I don't come up with the final design immediately. It takes a while. It is a process. I assessed the situation again. What was in the kitchen, stored in the kitchen before that didn't need to be there now? Lots of liquor bottles, lots of paper cups and plastic, like all those plastic cups, like the big gulp cups. I'm through being taken for granted. Things that didn't need to be stored in the kitchen that I could find a location somewhere else. Remember last time I showed you in the great room what we did with all the liquor bottles and the wine glasses and the drinking glasses. That freed up space in the kitchen. I knew though, from this point on, everything I did in there was going to have to be super efficient. Once I get into the next phase, which is cabinets. Now remember, we're not selecting cabinets yet. We're just saying, okay, my refrigerator's here, my cooktop's here, my sink is here. The rest can be filled in with cabinets. But how am I going to divide those out? And what's going to go in them? Thinking those things through way early in the design process will ensure a successful remodel for you in the end, and you're going to love your kitchen. So I go through and I identify what would go in each of these drawers so that I'm sure that I have room for absolutely everything. You always want to have some countertop on either side of your cooktop. The cooktop area should also have certain things around it. And I find that having knives on one side and having spices on the other, having my bottles of oil easily accessible, my salt and pepper, that kind of stuff is great to have right in that cooking area. Plus your pots and pans and your lids. Now with a sink, you want to always have a dishwasher right next to it and a trash receptacle or trash compactor right next to it. I like to put one on one side and one on the other and the sink in the middle. That way you're taking things out. Also, where are those dishes gonna go? Is it a long ways away to put them away? Or is there a place you can put them very quickly that's gonna be accessible and easy to use? How simple is this? To pull out a dish, get it out of the dishwasher, wash it, put it away. If you're lucky enough to have a third station, which would be a baking station, in this kitchen, we didn't have the room for that. So my third area was where there was a microwave. There is no island in here, so we have an open and close microwave, which is super nice and space saving. I think it's all about how you talk to it. So now this is kind of like the serving area, the quick food serving area. So at this point, you're not selecting actual appliances, but you do, from your shopping trip, hopefully you've picked up brochures and things that have measurements. If you don't have the measurements, Google it. A dishwasher is usually 24 inches wide. A cooktop is 30, 36, 42, 48. Same with refrigerators. Google it and find out what the shapes and the sizes are so that you can drop them into your model or into your floor plan. Bottom line, right now, these are all placeholders. Guess what else I wanted a placeholder for? A pot filler. It's installed on the wall. This is actual plumbing, ladies and gentlemen. You need to know way early in the game before you hire that contractor, because he's going to have to plumb that thing. He's going to have to plumb if you have an ice maker in your refrigerator or a water dispenser. There are so many things he needs to know. So having these things picked out, or at least in your mind up front, is the way to go.
Hiding in the dark.
Then let's talk about the cooking area. Look inside. Look at that handle. It's so cool. I guess it's where you cook, right? Now I kept that same vintage feel with the La Cornue stove, the cooktop. This is a 5-gas burner, a beautiful oven inside. I would say in 85% of the kitchens I've ever designed, the cooktop, the range, is my focal point. You know how sometimes they have so many cabinets in here and then this little hood? Oh, take a look at this kitchen that we did in La Jolla. Look how the kitchen cabinets came in from the left and they came in from the right, and they had a small hood in the center. Now, take a look at the after.
We don't need to talk.
I eliminated all of those upper cabinets, put some incredible 3-dimensional stone behind the cooktop, all the way up, all the way across. Then I had an incredible hood put over the top of that range. Now that is a focal point. That's a wow. You're gonna have fewer cabinets if you do that. But that first impression, and here's the other thing. I wanted to make sure that from the great room, when you turned and you looked into this now, not what was an arched opening, but this big opening into the kitchen, that you were gonna see a wow first impression.
Feel my body talk.
36 inches here, 58 inches here. Super wide and then smaller. It makes more of an impact, an impressive impact. Now that I've created this focal point, I was able to then decide where those cabinets could go. I still had some space on the right-hand side that my refrigerator was gonna go on, and I could take my cabinets all the way up. That was the only place I could go vertical with my cabinets. This is a small kitchen sink. Once I chose to do the 48-inch sink and it went like this, that sink still protrudes down into the cabinet, so you can't put a dishwasher under there. This right here, this dishwasher, was moved over on the, I guess that would be the south side, and the trash compactor or trash recycling bin was moved over here.
We don't need our words to speak.
As you're making these design decisions from a principled standpoint, you're gonna have to consider your flooring. Now in this case, in the beach house, we actually brought the wood floor that was in the other adjoining rooms straight on into the kitchen. If you have an issue with that, then look for tile that looks like wood so that there can be a smooth transition into the room. If you watch the episode that I did on flooring and tile, you will learn all the principles of how important it is to avoid seams, to avoid transitions of color, to avoid a contrast in color when it comes to flooring, especially in a small room. The next thing I do is I decide on my countertop. Now I know that I want to do a solid slab. You know, some people like to do concrete. I prefer myself to do quartzite is my usual go-to for countertops. And the reason for that is it's very stain resistant, just like granite. Marble is my favorite look. If I could put marble in every kitchen, I would, and I would love to, and I have wanted to for years, but marble will stain until now. Wait till you hear what I have to tell you. I mentioned it to you last time in the Great Room Design session. We purchased a Zero Care. Now that is a new technology that's done by the company Antolini out of Italy. I actually went to Italy and was able to select all my stone there, which was super fun. But this technology actually penetrates the stone and makes it bulletproof. So now for the first time that I know of, we are able to offer marble if it's been treated with a Zero Care. Just so you know, a Zero Care is not an aftermarket treatment. It's done to the stone at the quarry in Italy. So it is not all that readily available for most places, I don't think, but look for that and see if you can find it, because it does open the door for more of the light colored marble looking countertops in your kitchens. Look at this. I used a subway tile that is not completely smooth and flat and shiny. It's actually a matte finish, which is really, really cool. This is an area where honestly you can make the biggest impact in the design of your space, and that's with the tile. Just be careful that what you choose is going to be something you're going to love for a long time. So we did this in a subway pattern here. Then I used the same exact material, same tile, but this has the points on the end. So you see that? It gives you the impression it's the same thing until you look up close, because the grout lines change here, make it something special over the cooktop. And you'll notice I went all the way to the ceiling, because that's what we call in the design sessions. Do I hear you, class? What do we call it? It starts with an F and it ends with a W, and there's an L-O in the middle of it. You know what I'm talking about. Remember, I love that concept of flow, so look at the design session about tile installation, how we can create such an illusion of space and dreaminess just by taking tile all the way to the ceiling, all the way to the sides. In order to do this tile, this right here is one piece, but I wanted my pattern to end where it does and have a center one down the center. Those kind of details are just, I don't know, maybe they're a little too picky, but I think they make a huge difference. This wood wall here, how did I decide? Look, how did I decide what to do and how far out to do it? I took my available space between this cabinet and this door and matched it on this side. Those are the little tiny details. It's something that the average person, even my homeowners, would probably never even know. So that's some good design tips and advice there. This is true of both about wallpaper and tile. You gotta think about the grout lines, and you gotta think about where something starts and where it ends. Now, over this door, for example, you're gonna see that I actually made tile pieces the exact size of my tile. I laid a center piece right over the center of the door, and I said, go that direction and go that direction, because I knew these were the exact same distance apart. Now you're gonna have a tile layer come to you and say, but if I do that, there's just a little piece that's an inch over here. And you're gonna go, I know, I like that inch. Thank you for asking. Thank you for clarifying. Otherwise, what they will do is they will start in one corner and they will just lay tile until they get to the side, and they're gonna go around, and where your grout lines end up, who knows? Once I do this, I make screenshots of these things, and I make sure that my tile installer gets a copy of it, has it in front of him, and I go there the days he's doing it. Look, over this door, center tile over the door. The next area I address, because now we know where everything is going, is lighting. Guys, gals, not light fixtures, light locations. My lighting plan for the kitchen looked like this. These are task lights that light up the parts of the kitchen where you would want light directly down on your countertop. This, for example, is your range and your hood. On either side of your hood, and the refrigerator. So these lights light up these cabinets. On this side, this actually lights up the countertop. And this right here, red, is an art light, which went onto my paneled wall. Do you have an island? Do you want pendant lights over your island? Do you want a large single fixture over your island? Do you have a nook in your kitchen and you need a chandelier? How about putting sconces on either side of your kitchen window if you have the space for it? I did that in a house and it's absolutely beautiful. But what you need to do now is identify where you might use some fixtures and definitely where you need functional lighting. A galley kitchen, it's very tempting to run one row of lights down the center because it's not that wide of a room. But let me tell you what that creates. The light is here, the counter is here, and you are here. Your body will be a shadow on everything that you do on that countertop. On one side of the room where I had countertop, and that's the side that looks into the kitchen, I ran functional task lighting over the countertop, which would be perfect for chopping and seeing and not casting any shadows. I also lit those floating shelves. Oh my gosh, those floating shelves are so cool. The last area that you would need to address in a kitchen would be if you need any window treatments. In this particular kitchen, we only had one window, and I was not about to cover it with fabric because right outside that window was the view of the ocean. However, I did need a privacy shade, something that would block the harsh light in the later afternoon sun hours, but also something that when the house is vacant, because it is a vacation home, that could come down and no one could look inside any of the windows. That too is motorized and it's part of the smart home technology. Now is the time to contact, before you get a contractor, contact a cabinet builder. If there's a store, maybe you're doing IKEA, go wherever it is that you want to have your cabinets built. Meet with them, show them your drawings, but you really should have your appliances picked out first before you do, because they're going to need to know all that too. I submitted my drawings to EKD, which is the cabinet company I work with. The guy who actually does the cabinet designs and does the rough drawings, he said, you know what, Rebecca, I think that your pull-out pantries are too narrow. I think that they'll be more functional if you make them a little bit wider. Well, there was no place else to go. Plus, I really didn't have a lot of counter space on either side. And again, such a small kitchen. That's when we decided to eliminate this one, move the rest of this over a little bit, give myself more countertop on either side of the cooktop, and then make these slightly wider. As you can see, these things evolve and they change, and that's why the design process is so important. If I'd have taken that drawing and just said to the contractor, build this, he would have built that. And the countertops on either side would have been too narrow, and the pantry things would have been too narrow to really make them super functional. Oh, is that what it is? A skid mat. Oh,
Non-slip mats, yeah.
there we go, look. Who knew things skid in there? I guess I should go in my kitchen sometime and find out what things are doing in my drawers. So this is gonna be a pantry. These are the actual shop drawings that identify every detail. Here's the elevation of the wall that the sink and window is on with the floating shelves and how everything works here. It's all super detailed out. So I've seen how typical kitchen remodels go when a homeowner does it on her own or his own. There's a discussion between the couple. You know, it's about time. We need to remodel this kitchen. Well, honey, we got a little extra money. All right, let's do it. Let's call a contractor. So they interview contractors, they hire one, and they say, we want to do a kitchen remodel. He says, okay, well, what do you want? We're like, we want a kitchen remodel. What happens in that case is you sign a contract with a contractor, and he is now going to ride herd on you to get him what he needs just when he needs it. Women have told me so many times, gosh, when we did our kitchen remodel, it was crazy. Every time that contractor showed up, he had a new list. He wanted me to go pick out hinges. Now I have to pick out the cabinet doors, and he wants to know what hardware to go on the drawers and which ones go on the cabinets, and then I had to run and get some tile, and then he wants the backsplash. Then he asked me what kind of grout I want. Guess what, guys and gals? You make those decisions before you call the contractor, and your life will be so much easier.
You said fine, you win, but it feels like I didn't win anything.
Take that list of the things that we just went through. You're gonna need to look at flooring. You're gonna need to look at cabinet styles and colors and textures and finishes. You're gonna need to look at window treatments and light fixtures and plumbing and appliances and countertops and tile for your backsplashes. I think I've pretty much covered most of it. Here's the key. Everywhere you go, as you narrow down your choice, get samples. Ask for samples of the finishes of the stain if you're picking stained, or the finish of the paint if you're having painted cabinets.
We're watching the flames.
I highly recommend you look at your PDF at this point, because I have very painstakingly written out exactly what you need to take with you, the kinds of things you're going to need to ask. When you're picking out tile, you also need to pick out grout. Do not let your contractor or your tile installer pick out the grout color, because you may not like it. Even when you're looking for your countertops, take your measurements, your design of cabinetry and stuff with you, because one of the first questions they're going to ask you at the slab yard is, how many slabs do you need? I don't know. Enough to do a kitchen. How big is your kitchen? About, I don't know, from like there to here, right? That's kind of what you do when you haven't prepared, because you don't think of these things. You don't do this every day like I do. The more you know, the more you are equipped when you get there, the quicker and the better your choices will be, and the sooner you're going to get to your end result.
Yeah.
Drum roll, please. You know what it's time for? It's time for Call the Contractor. When you do, make sure that you interview 3 contractors. It's just smart. Get a feel for them. Who do you like? Who do you feel like you can trust? Is there any Yelps on them that's bad? Google, you know what I mean? You can check online nowadays. It's always advisable to use someone who you are referred to by a friend if they've used them, because that's where you're going to get the real truth. Now that you got the contractor involved, you know what? When he meets you and he sees your plans, he is going to be super impressed. And he's also going to know that you are a no-nonsense kind of person.
All this time you thought we'd never pay the price.
I actually placed my faucet where I wanted it. And can I tell you, when it came time to install the faucet, I had to arm wrestle my contractor to get what I wanted, because he kept trying to tell me that, don't you think it would be better if the faucet was in the center of the sink? And I said, nope, because look, right here I have shelves that will protrude, and this will hit that. That alone is a problem. Secondly, this should be dead center of that window, and my drain is right here, and I have this long pull out that can clean that entire thing. So look, if this is here, perfect.
I need sun.
So please, please, please put it where I put it, because I put a lot of thought into it. So how about faucet, air gap, soap dispenser, and pusher thinger?
1, 2, 3, 4, all to the left.
Yes. It's 48 inches wide. Now, trust me, countertop space in a tiny kitchen is of the utmost value. But if you do a galley sink, you get like twofer. You get a twofer. Right here, this is a 48-inch sink. Amazing. You could wash a Labrador Retriever in there. I mean, I don't think you should, because it'd be really gross, but especially to use it afterwards. And they're slidable. Now you can toss lettuce, you can make a meal in there. Then you take this one And this is a strainer and a place for you to put things to dry. I don't know. I was going to say underwear, but that's probably inappropriate. But you're still not done. There are some things left for you to do while the contractor's making a mess of things. Before he makes it beautiful, you got a list of things to do, and here's what they are. You need to select your hardware. I find that I can pull together, you know how I talk about repeating a finish in a room? Super important in good design. I find that my handles can actually be the glue that pulls the design together. Essentially, this part we kept in the chrome, shiny to match the faucet, and then this part was done in this brushed finish. So one of the great things about using hardware like this, and when you use these long pulls, again, this two-tone finish, the shiny part's not the part that you're gonna be touching, so you don't have to worry about leaving fingerprints. But this part here has this wonderful, like a brushed satin finish, and that's great for touching, no fingerprints. But here's what happens, and I love it for this reason. When I'm done with a towel, I can actually use this not just as a pull to open the door, but as a towel bar. So how cool is that? Basically, I have a bazillion towel bars in here. I could do my laundry in the kitchen if I wanted to. The brushed look on the handle also was repeated in the galley sink and in the pipes that I used on the floating shelves. So as you can see, you can tie a lot of your decisions and your selections together by using the right hardware. Accessories. Accessories and artwork. Do you have room in your kitchen for that? Because for me, I only had one spot that I could actually use a piece of art, and I used something that meant something to the client. So in this case, my client is huge book reader, part of a book club. She and her girl pals, they just finished their 100th book together. And each one of them received this print that they made up with all of the faces, the book cover faces on it. She said, hey, my girlfriends gave me this and it really means a lot to us. Can you find a place in the beach house for it? And I was like, of course. I've got gadgets and gizmos aplenty. I've got who's its and what's its galore. You want thingamabobs? I got 20. No big deal, but who cares? I want more. Take a look at these cabinets. This is our pantry. Now my daughter Shara and her assistant Elena did all of the organizing. This is our refrigerator freezer, completely integrated, and there's a glass of wine just waiting for the client to get here. Lots of beverages under here. We've even stocked the freezer with the kind of pizza they like. Do you know how I know that? Because before I started this project, I came over here and I took photos of everything that was in every cabinet and in every drawer and in every refrigerator and freezer, and that's what we restocked it with. Look. This has water that you can fill from the side of the door, so you don't have to have a water thing in the front. Isn't that cool? But they've thought of everything. What about coffee or beverages? Here's our beverage station. We've got coffee mugs, we have cookbooks, we have glasses, we have dishes. Oh my gosh, and look how good that looks on that countertop. That is gonna make for a pretty table, and all of the colors connect and go together. But I paid attention when I did this. I thought, you know what would be the worst thing? Yeah, I know this will fit a plate, but what if I can't get my plate in there without hitting that? That would be bad. And I only know that kind of thing because I've been a designer a long time and I've already made those mistakes in the past. That's one of the good things about getting old. It's probably the only thing that's good about getting old. Just saying. Now what about things? Well, over here, you might have a container that has your scissors and your paper, even Band-Aids, because if you cook like I do, you'll need them in the kitchen. Even Post-it notes. That's what we call a junk drawer, but that's the classiest looking junk drawer I've ever seen. How about you? You know what's often in my junk drawer? Keys. Well, look what I did here. I created a wall pocket for succulents, a cool clock, and then right down here we had Oscar make this for me. This is for them to put their letters in, hopefully checks to Ropes and Design, you know, stuff like that. And then when they walk in the door, they can put their keys right here on the hook. They always know where to find them. I put a slit in the top of that opening there so we can put little lights up in there just to add a little extra glow. Over here, some sea salt. And I didn't get it out there, I swear. We bought it. And then we've got honey, a cookbook. Look, here's a great place for paper towels because when you're cooking and you have spills, you've got grease that gets on the countertop, you want to clean that. And then up here, we've got some of our daily use spatulas that just look great hanging there. And I changed the tile out to a different type of tile in this area. And it goes perfectly with our countertop and all of the other tile. I'm gonna go, you know, get rid of that. Guys, it is time for me to get going. I hope this has been really helpful for you today. I feel like this is sort of drinking through a fire hose, right? I am giving you so much information. If you are indeed in the middle of or planning to start a remodel of your kitchen, I would suggest you watch this and re-watch it a number of times. Get your partner or your spouse to come and watch it with you. And the reason I say that is, you know, you got a lot of decisions to make and you're gonna be making some financial commitments. And it's really important that your partner is on the same page with you. You've got so much to do ahead of you, but just take my advice on this. The more you plan in advance and the more you know about what you're doing, the better your project is going to turn out. You know what? I think it's great to feel confident in your decisions. Making them one at a time won't do that for you, but making them as a great big picture and then handing it off to the contractor, oh my gosh, you are going to be so proud of yourself. And I'm gonna be proud of you too. I love you guys. I look forward to seeing you next time. What do you wanna do next time? Let's see, we've got bathrooms, we've got bedrooms, laundry rooms, hallways. Elena, what should we do? Drum roll, please.
Bedrooms?
Bedrooms, let's do bedrooms. Woo, let's do bedrooms. Okay, we're gonna do bedrooms. And we have 4 guest bedrooms in this little tiny beach house. I'm gonna show you how to design the perfect tiny bedroom. And when I say tiny, they are tiny. And thank you for being a part of the design sessions. Come back next month. You're gonna just continue to learn more and more and more. All right, signing off for now. See you next time. Bye-bye.